Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZa Ali. Today is Monday, November 5th, 2024. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I am doing really well. Thank you very much. Today I'm going to be sharing a passage with you guys from my workbook. I was going to say Make Peace with Yourself, Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance, as you can see there on the screen. This particular section of the book is called Make Peace with Yourself. I'm going to share this particular passage referencing energy leaks, and then I'm going to read a passage from Dr. Joseph Murphy's Miracle Power for Infinite Riches. And this starts on page 18 of the Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance workbook. This book is available in the physical copy, as you can see here, and it's also available via workbook, via ebook. And just a reminder, I am having a sale on all of my workbooks, my metaphysics workbooks. So there is Keys to Womanhood, what every young lady and woman should know, The Science of Sex, and The Science of Self. And I will put the information in the description if you're interested in getting a copy. And you can purchase the bundle, which is on sale for 15% off until tomorrow at midnight, or you can purchase the books individually. And the passage I'm going to read and go through starts on page 18. It's titled Make Peace with Yourself. Let's see. Okay. An energy leak is an ongoing energetic puncture, usually attached to personal relationships, traumatic experiences, negative thinking, and emotional patterns that drain the life force energy. These leaks weigh heavy in the background of everyday life and are hard to pinpoint as the reason for being tired, angry, or frustrated. Depending on the specific issue, energy leaks can drain the equivalent energy of an 8-hour work shift, expressed through emotional energy opposed to physical labor. And this is particularly important right now because I know that we are all either directly or indirectly being inundated with so much chaos and, polarizing content when it comes to the election in particular, that it's kind of hard to maintain frequency in the midst of all of this insanity. So take a look at the following behavioral patterns and identify those that resonate. Please rate these patterns on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being an occasional problem and 5 being a continuous problem. And if you want to do this, you can grab a sheet of paper and, sort of make a reference for yourself. Negative thinking patterns, resentment of past relationships or life circumstances, wanting to control others, the need to be right, living with grief from past mistakes, the need for approval from others, overthinking petty events and turning them into personal attacks. That's a big one, right? Envy and jealousy of successful people. And that's a big one. That's another big one in terms of social media, because it used to be where, you had to it was the celebrity aspect of it and how they were being portrayed in mainstream media, or it was maybe somebody at your school, somebody at your job. Now you've got access to millions upon millions of people seeing their lives, or at least what they portray when it comes to their lives. And so a lot of us are mirroring ourselves based on strangers and people we don't even know. And we're only mirroring the aspects that they show us. We're not mirroring the totality of their lives, right? Worry and fear about the future. That's another big one, especially right now where there's so much. I mean, I can't say I've never seen, but just the fact that both of these candidates are running on fear-based campaigns is just fascinating to me. Inability to control negative emotions, hatred, anger, and despair, emotional eating, and reliving and living in pain from your childhood without seeking help. We've all been through various degrees of experiences, some more traumatic than others. But the question is, are you seeking help? Are you setting the intention to get help? Are you setting the intention to be and do better, which is the first step, the first stage, right? Okay, so this is a passage from the book Miracle Power for Infinite Riches by Dr. Joseph Murphy. A man we will call Johnny accompanied me on a trip to Dunlow in Killarney. It was there that my companion got an acute attack of asthma. He used a throat spray, which gave him some relief. He also gave himself a subcutaneous injection of adrenaline. He said he got an attack about noon every day. Since the attack was sometimes greater than others, a doctor showed him how to use the hypodermic needle in case of an emergency. After his attack had subsided, he blurted out, "No wonder I get asthma. My father had it all his life, and I was present when he died from an attack." Take a sip of tea. He was blaming heredity, while at the same time he informed me that he was an adopted son, which of course ruled out his claim to heredity. During a heart-to-heart talk, he admitted that he had hated his foster father ever since the man had told him for the first time, possibly in a fit of anger, "You are not my real son. I took you out of the gutter and gave you a home. You are an illegitimate child." This was a terrible shock to Johnny. He felt guilty because of his hatred and resentment. Though frequently confessing his error, it remained suppressed in the deeper recesses of his mind. Being a negative and disruptive emotion, it had to have an outlet sooner or later. Then, when his father died, he took on the symptoms as a form of self-punishment for his sins. I explained to him fully the workings of his deeper mind. I pointed out to him that although he undoubtedly resented the fact that he was born out of wedlock, there is no such thing as an illegitimate child in the eyes of God. The real illegitimate child is the one who thinks negatively and fails to conform to the golden rule and the law of love. He had developed the symptoms for no other reason than that he felt that he should be punished and suffer for his sins of unworthiness and rejection, self-rejection, plus his hatred and antagonism for his foster father who had adopted him. I pointed out that his foster father had done the best thing that he could for him and had played the dual role of a father and a mother. I told him he should forgive his foster father, for his angry outbursts. He began to see the light immediately and perceived at the same time that he was punishing himself. When he drove me back to the hotel in Killarney, I gave him a copy of The Power of the Subconscious Mind and wrote out a special prayer for him to use several times daily. I suggested that he affirm these great truths. I'm not going to read the prayer. That he affirm these great truths for about 5 minutes, morning, afternoon, and night, and that he be careful to never deny what he affirms. When fearful thoughts or approaching symptoms come, he is to say quietly, "I inhale the peace of God and exhale the love of God to all." Let's do that together. Inhale the peace of God and exhale the love of God to all. God, or whatever word you prefer. On the next page, and there's a few more lines there, but I'm going to end there. Life force energy, this is no longer the quote from the book. This is my wording. Life force energy, or prana, supplies energy directly to the brain. This cosmic energy comes from outside the body, enters the brain, and keeps the cells charged with life. Life force is the intelligent power that converts food matter, oxygen, and sunshine into living matter. This life energy is the real sustainer of life, for when the mind, body, and soul are depleted, they can only be recharged by this cosmic life force energy, which is sustained by good posture, which is critical, yogis know, to alleviate an unobstructed flow of life energy in the spine, consuming natural foods such as raw fruits and vegetables to strengthen the body, getting proper sunlight for its healing energy, and proper breathing exercises to purify the blood. And you guys know I'm always emphasizing the importance of the science of breath and proper breathing. But these two different passages in terms of him self-punishing and punishing himself because of this very traumatic and negative experience that he had with his foster father is a very important sort of metaphor for a lot of the things that many of us went through childhood, or maybe in negative relationships, experience with friends or whatnot, where we get snagged energetically on something negative or traumatic that happened to us. And then we start to manifest it in our lives. And it may manifest as a relationship, it may manifest as an experience, or it may manifest as an illness, as with the gentleman in the story, Johnny. And so I also reference the importance of prana and breathing because he was suffering from a self-inflicted form of asthma. Now, for a lot of people, that might sound like too woo, like, no, that's not true. That's not how it works. But if you understand what the placebo effect is, and the fact that a doctor can tell you that you have a disease or something, a debilitating disease or something that maybe is incurable, and a doctor can pretend to do a surgery on you or to give you a sugar pill to make you think that you've been given the cure, and your mind will accept that. Mind, subconscious mind, conscious mind, unconscious mind will accept that to be true. And so your body will now respond and cure itself, right? So whatever you internalize and believe to be true within your heart of heart and within your mind, within your heart of heart and within your mind, not only will your body respond accordingly, but the people, places, and things around you will respond accordingly as well. And so there's a couple more pages within this passage that is basically a Q&A. I keep getting my sides messed up. Basically a Q&A. My negative patterns are usually focused on, so this is going back to the original, the original different representations of energy leaks, which I created that concept because I was, starting to become conscientious in my early 30s that I was carrying a lot of unnecessary stress and weight that's not quantifiable, right? You can quantify how many hours you go to work during the day. You can quantify how much money you made during the day. You can quantify and qualify how many people you talk to, right? Or, the physical nature of reality. You can't quantify if you have a broken heart and how many times you think on a day-to-day basis, right? How many times you continue to spin in this web of negativity or pain or frustration, right? You can't quantify if you have let's say a 10-year gap in a relationship with a parent or with a child. And it might not be something that's like in your right in front of you, but it's something that's constantly nagging at your spirit. So you get triggered when you see a commercial with someone else with their children, or you get triggered when you're at a park and see, a loving mother and father playing or interacting with their child, etc. And this is why a lot of us who grow up with parents, maybe a negative relationship with our mother, or maybe our father wasn't in the household. These are very prominent energy leaks and master teachers. I have another passage in the book called Master Teacher. I'll do another video on that another time that emphasizes that. And so for me, it was critical to start to understand that sentiment of what is your master teacher and the energy leak concept, right? So that I'm not still, as a grown woman, walking around releasing or losing energy, or wasting energy is a more appropriate word, from things that are no longer really active in my current life, or things that I'm not conscientious of that have come to the surface that I wasn't mindful of. And this is a big thing 2020 moving forward, because I've been saying all of us are going to have to confront our fears on an individual level and then within the collective conscious. So my negative thinking patterns are usually focused on fill in the blanks. I feel resentment in my mind and heart for fill in the blanks. I notice myself trying to control the actions of these people in my life, fill in the blank. The last time I noticed my need to be right behavior pattern was when I'm suffering with grief because of this or these past mistakes. My need for approval from others has caused problems in these areas of my life. Here's an example of a petty situation that I turned into something bigger than what it really was. I find myself feeling envy and jealousy of. When it comes to my future, I worry and am fearful about. The last time I displayed uncontrollable anger or desperate energy was, and there's a few more on the next page. I'm not going to read those, but I do want to read this last page. Tips for dealing with anxiety, overcoming anxiety and negative thinking patterns. And this was big for me because I've always dealt with anxiety as a child who parented myself. I had to be the mother and father. I had to be the voice of reason, the voice of discipline, the voice of, the nurturing, compassionate element, all of those masculine and feminine tendencies that are supposed to be expressed from our parents. And when I say masculine and feminine tendencies, I'm not talking about the physical attributes of that or aspects of that. I'm just talking about the internal thing, right? How we cope in the world, how we figure things out in the world, right? How we show up in the world. So, tips for dealing with anxiety. Read and practice breathing techniques from The Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka, which is a book I always promote and been telling you guys for since forever. Every night before bed, do a 15-minute stretching routine that includes concentration on breath, which is critical. I cannot stress that enough. Listen to meditation music or meditation affirmations while falling asleep to reprogram the subconscious mind. You can hear I have my 888 hertz in the background. I always play frequency music in the background. Every morning before getting out of bed, as soon as you wake up, when your brain is still in that half sleep, half woke state, sit in a comfortable position or lie. Turn on meditation music to a low pitch and focus on breathing and being present for 5 to 15 minutes. I put 15 minutes in here, but now I tell my clients 5 to 15 minutes because, life is happening. Take 2 to 3 walks per week in nature, get some sunshine. If it's too cold, layer up. That sounds like duh, right? That sounds like something we all know, but how many of us actually do that? Walking is one of the most beneficial, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically beneficial things that we can do, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, especially if you are having a hard time controlling your emotions. Before you respond to the text, before you call, right? Before you fire off at your boss, take a break, take a 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute walk, right? Resettle, recenter, and then come back to it. Add chlorophyll to your daily water intake. It will give you energy and refresh your body. Create a playlist of YouTube videos or audiobooks for frequent listening to keep your mind and energy focused, especially for you're in the car, when you're in the car. I mean, I love music. I'm a music head, but I'm always listening to something that is feeding the soul. And for parents, I was always, when I was raising my son, pick up, drop off, school, basketball practice, all that stuff. When we're in the car, I have high vibration content playing in the background, powerful men, but also, positive, reaffirming language playing in the background. Now, he thinks he's not hearing it. He's not paying attention. He might be on his phone or looking out the window, but the message is still settling in his subconscious mind. Always have one book that you are reading that is focused on your points of interest and or inspiration. Right now, I am really studying the publishing industry. I'm kind of upset with myself because I wish I had done this when I first self-published my first book. But now that I have a very solid footing in the publishing industry with a publishing company, now I want to become a master within the industry. So I'm taking in information. I'm constantly trying to learn. I'm constantly trying to expand my knowledge base in terms of publishing. I also, I have many loves, right? So I'm constantly cultivating and inspiring myself by tapping into those things. So if you are let's say you work a job as a plumber and you want to own your own plumbing industry or your own plumbing business, okay, so then go online and look up the people that have already done it, just to keep it alive, to keep it fresh within your mind's eye. Whenever you feel frustration, pain, suffering, or your mind is getting the best of you, practice the following breathing technique from the book, The Science of Breath, to calm the nervous system and to help you get centered. Sit erect in an easy posture, being sure to hold the chest, neck, and head as nearly in a straight line as possible, with the shoulders thrown back and hands resting easily on the lap. In this position, the weight of the body is largely supported by the ribs, and the position may be easily maintained. Inhale slowly, a complete breath, counting 6 pulse units. Retain, counting 3 pulse units. Exhale slowly through the nostrils, counting 6 pulse units. Count 3 pulses between breaths. Repeat a number of times, but avoid fatiguing yourself at the start. Now, it depends on how tapped in you are with your energy. I'm at like 20 breaths in, 10 breaths pause, 20 breaths out, right? But I'm a yogi, so I'm practicing my breathing all the time. So start where you are, but the point is breathe in 6 counts, pause for 3 counts, breathe out for 6 counts. And so maybe you'll start at 8, maybe you'll start at 10, maybe you'll start at 6, but wherever you start, just make sure you start somewhere. All right. This is a passage from my workbook, Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance. This workbook is 134 pages, full color. It's available on my website, ZaZaAli.com. You can purchase just this workbook. You can purchase it the physical copy, or you can purchase the ebook. And I'm also running a sale right now for all of my metaphysics workbook, my birthday sale. All of my metaphysics workbooks and all orders will ship out within 24 hours. I'm going to do a short video on the other 3 workbooks today as well to promote. If you have any questions, hit me up, info@zazaali.com. Peace and love.